All right, so Shaq Fu returns a Legend Reborn. Well, what
Wow.
the original one was a fighting game, and it was terrible. Like the characters were like an inch tall, whatever. This game somehow makes it worse by making it a side-scrolling beat 'em up with like 5-minute load times, even on a Switch cartridge.
That's pretty impressive.
Wait, there's a Shaq Fu game for the Switch?
There is. It's out on Switch, PS4, and Xbox
Did you not
One.
hear what he was just talking about?
Oh, I don't pay attention to half the stuff he says.
That's true.
I think it was a Kickstarter too. It was like
it started as a Kickstarter, but I actually, because I am fucking special, I bought it at Target.
What are you doing?
I did. I swear to God, I bought it at Target.
Was it in a sale bin?
It was $20.
Was that an end cap for the clearance?
It was $20. They had to come and unlock the clamshell case and fucking hand it to me. And I'm sure the guy was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" But I bought it, and it was goddamn awful. Like the load times alone, it might not have been a horrible game. I mean, it was a horrible game. It really was. It was definitely. It's one that I played the first level and then was like, "All right, fuck this." And I don't remember what I did with. Like I guess I traded it in or whatever, but it was fucking terrible. And that was when I was keeping every single Switch game I had because I was like, all right, I really like the Switch. I want to have as many of the games in the library as possible. And I was like refusing even games that I was just playing and I'm like, this isn't really good. All right, I'm going to put it on the shelf and I'm just going to leave it there because I want it in my collection. I didn't want anything to do with that fucking game because it was that fucking bad.
You could probably get it signed by Shaq and it might be worth less.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. Can
Shaq write?
That's why he made his name down to 4 letters.
Yeah, if you give him a big enough like writing implement, I'm sure he could scribble it out.
Actually, he's actually a really good businessman. He's made more money other shit than he has.
No,
you can be a good businessman.
He bought into the Ring doorbell thing.
And was that him? Was he behind that investor in that?
Yeah, he made a shit ton on that.
And he was that the Admiral, whatever the fuck that thing was, where it was like the car insurance.
General.
That's it.
Yeah, General.
The Admiral David Robinson.
He's done well for himself.
Yeah, he has. He also invested in a Google pre-IPO through a chance encounter at a hotel. Yeah, you're right.
Encounter. Read that as prostitute.
Hey, baby, you want to invest in some Google?
and yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. Wait, was that the one? Jimmy Kimmel wasn't Shaq. He was somebody else in blackface.
Oh, he was
Karl Malone.
Yes,
that's it.
Yeah. All right. So why I would assume so. We're gonna start off with video games for our brackets. We got to figure out if we can put both Shaq Fu and Shaq Fu Returns on the same bracket.
I think it's a fair thing, and I think it's something that we can certainly debate on if it comes to that.
Okay. All right. So let's. So how do we want to do? So we want to go like start with Tom, and then go to Bink, and then me, and then Rich, and we each add a game to the field of 16 for the video games.
I think that's a fair way to do it. Yeah, just add one, and then we'll. Kind of go from there. And if there's any at the end that we have to be like, or maybe like, let's say one of us says something, and it's like, hey, I don't really agree with that. Or like, hey, why are you putting that?
Right.
So,
all
right.
Well, we've ever been professional or anything, but should we introduce the show and then describe what we're doing other than,
no, they had to listen. Listen, we're serialized. They needed to listen to the last episode to know what the fuck we're talking about.
We had continuity.
Hey, you know what? Let's do it. Rich, do you want to kind of kick us off then? What are we doing here?
Welcome to the Noise Brigade podcast. Go view all of our wonderful URLs that you can listen to other places. We still have no ads, so don't shop anywhere. Fuck them all. Tonight we're going to yes. As we said on another podcast, probably the worst one we've ever had. We somehow got into a bracket of bad. where we decided that it's fun talking about shit we don't like. So we decided to make a list of video games, movies, musicians, and a wild card slot about things we hate. So I imagine what's going to happen is super drinking. I know everyone else is also drinking a little bit here and there, and Bob's doing whatever it is he's doing. So it should be really interesting as we get into the flow, I guess. So let's start with video games.
Nice.
That we hate.
That was killer, Rich. That's like the best opening we've had like a year and a half.
It's all going to go to shit now.
All right, so I'll do one, and I know this one. I think I can honestly say we'll make it anyway, and I'll steal the thunder because 3 of us picked it. Is Back to the Future for the NES. I unequivocally say that this one makes it just on the sheer fact that it is one of the strangest games. It's one of the worst games. It makes absolutely no sense compared to the movie, and I didn't like it as a kid, and I just don't really think I could ever go back and play it now.
What pisses me off is didn't Japan get like a really good side scroller version of it
for the Super Nintendo? Back to the Future 2.
Oh, that was Super Nintendo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got that on a translation. Not that much of it had to be translated. It still wasn't great, but it was much better than anything we got.
It was much better than Marty McFly throwing bowling balls at random.
Walking through, trying not to walk through glass.
I think Back to the 2 and 3 for the Nintendo was worse than Back to the Future 1. I think Back to the Future 1 was playable. Back to the Future 2 and 3 was like some weird puzzle game that just blew.
I see. I never played that just based on the sheer fact that the first one was so bad. I was so mad because I was such a fan of it. I'm still such a fan of the movies now, but that game was so bad that I was like, no, I'm not doing this anything else with this. I'm done. So I don't know. I'm that's an adamant not got to be in the discussion for me. So I don't know. All right, who am I going to next?
We'll go to Bink next.
All right. I'm going to go with Mario Brothers 2 because it was such a disappointment for me going from Mario Brothers 1 to like, what the fuck am I playing? I appreciate what they did, but at the time I was pissed off because I love Mario Brothers the original. I'm like, should be a transition. And then 3 redeemed itself and probably my favorite game of all time.
I'm really curious to hear Bob and Rich's thoughts on this game.
I have never heard anyone say that was their least favorite game.
Oh, it's not my least favorite game. I just don't like it.
That's one of the ones that I go back and play every year.
That's up there for me, man. It's
definitely not a Mario game, but it's still fun to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's this, Rich? I know there's a backstory
Well, I mean,
to
just
that
being
one.
a kid at that age, and it came out probably 89. I was 10 years old and just excited about playing the second one, and it was just such a letdown to me.
Yeah, dude, I don't get that at all. I'm so hyped for that game.
Tom was talking about the original Super Mario Brothers 2 was what we got as the lost levels in whatever the fuck that thing was called. The Super
Mario
Nintendo.
All-Stars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when they were bringing it over to America, they deemed it to be too hard for American players. So they're like, well, we need to get a Mario game out here. So they took Doki something. I forget exactly what it was called, but it was a game that was created for a TV show or something. They reskinned. It was still created by the creator of Mario Brothers. So still a game by him, Miyamoto, whatever. But it was just reskinned with Mario characters. But that's
so
where
you guys understand why I think that way, though, right?
But at the same time, at the time, we didn't know what a sequel game was. So if you look at Legend of Zelda 2, that was totally different than Legend of Zelda. So I can see what you're saying. It's different there, but I still think it's fun. And
well, see, I took it as the time of when I was a kid. At that time, I was disappointed. Now I look back and it's a great game. But at the time, I was so pissed off because it wasn't what I thought Mario Brothers 2 would be.
No, I mean, I can see it. I guess we can leave it on the list.
Yeah, I can see both sides of it.
No, it's going to be knocked off the first round. I understand that.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I can see both sides of it on the sheer fact that I completely agree with the sense of it is being a child, being a kid. It's completely different than what you're used to.
Yeah.
An entirely different game, because if you go back to the original Mario Brothers and then with Super Mario Brothers and the stylings of that, and then into Super Mario 2, it was entirely different. So I can understand it being like, oh wow, this is a shock to the system almost. I'm on the other side too, though, where I go back and I will play it occasionally, not very often, because I play 3 more than I'll ever play 2.
Oh, 3 is
3 is just an amazing game. But I'll actually go back and play Super Mario Brothers itself, and then I've gone through and tried to play the lost levels. I'm so bad at it though that I just get frustrated. That's why I'm glad there's a rewind function on Switch Online service. But no, I definitely understand why, because I have other ones in other categories and that I have the same feeling for.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's like it was like I was so hyped up for something, and then it becomes this disappointment. And as a kid, it's like 10 times worse.
Yeah.
So
see,
totally get that part of it.
Something similar to Bink on my list that I picked for the same reason. But he said, I think Super Mario Brothers 2 is fun. This one was Paper Mario Sticker Star, where the first couple of Paper Mario games were also some RPG-esque games. Then Nintendo decided that the Mario and Luigi series was going to be the RPG, so Paper Mario had to be something different. And they turned into this horrible card battler type game where you have to collect stickers to do your fighting. It's just not fun. They just got rid of everything that was good and just turned it into a shitty. It wasn't even a kids game. It's just bad. I don't like it.
I've never even played. I don't even know if I've heard of it, but I never played it.
I started it, never finished it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it and just seeing it on sale and just never buying it. My favorite. I do. What did you think of Super Paper Mario though? Because I love that.
Was that the first one?
That was the one for the Wii where it turned into like a side scroller in certain parts.
It almost kind of looked like Parappa the Rapper, right?
It looked kind of like it, but it wasn't. Like you would be playing side scrolling parts, and then you would have to do some like you met these things called pixels that had different powers, and like one of them could change your perspective, like gave you the power to turn sideways basically. And then so like you would go from seeing everything as a flat 2D platformer level to it going this way, and then you're seeing it as if you were that 2D character on the screen. And then so you're seeing like, oh, there's actually depth to the level. Like you can go behind that stack of bricks that's going up, or you can walk around the Goomba that's walking at you and stuff like that. It was really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. The game that Richard you're talking though, I remember seeing like reading about an article something, and it was like at the when did that come out? Do you have a frame on that, like frame of reference?
It was for the 3DS, so whenever the 3DS was popular.
Okay, yeah, that definitely would have not been on my radar then, other than just seeing it in passing. So I don't know. I have no objections because. If I know anything, Rich knows video games.
Yeah,
2012 when it came out.
Yeah, I stand by that one. That one's so all right. So I'm gonna throw Off-Road the Baja for SNES onto this list. Much threw it onto Fish Pond Road. So this was. Do you guys remember the Off-Road games? Like I've been Iron Man Stewart's Off-Road in the arcade and on NES and stuff. It was like
it had the wheels.
Yeah, it had the steering wheels, and there was the 4 trucks, and they would go over the dirt, like through the dirt path. It was all one screen. I got this game thinking, oh, cool, it's just more of that. It was not. It was a kind of like Outrun behind the vehicle, but it was like supposed to be 3D, and you would jump and go over it. It was just fucking garbage.
The arcade Off-Road, that, if I recall correctly, was more like a little bit of a souped up like RC Pro-Am.
Yeah, exactly. exactly. It was more or like Super Sprint, if you guys remember Super Sprint. So it was basically like Super Sprint with trucks, and this one was like off-road or outrun, but shit.
Yeah, I've got to get a clip of that. Just that it's outrun, but oh yeah, I'm looking at the. I just pulled up some images. This through search. Yeah, that game was terrible.
Yeah, it should have been called Off-Road the Ass.
Yeah, no,
Off-Road the shits.
Yeah, that's a bad one. So, all right. So I think we've all done at least one round on video games. Are we gonna just cull through video games on this one? Keep going.
Yeah, let's each get our 4. So we've got our field of 16 for that, and then we can do the rankings afterwards, or we can try and move through and get all 64 onto the list. Like all of each category onto the list, and then we can do either another show where we rank them, or we can, however you guys want to do it.
I mean, at this pace, we're just going to get video games in.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
So,
which is fine. We can stretch this one out. It gives us just content for weeks.
Yeah, once we get the video games selected, we can do our ranking, and then that'll probably eat up this whole episode. So, all right. Tom,
so
back to you.
Next one, I'm going to go with the Home Alone, particularly the PC version, which I believe came out in '91. I was trying to look up some dates, and that's what I had on this one. I don't know. And again, I apparently I have like something against movie property video games from that era, because it's not far after the Back to the Future one. Has anyone ever played any of the Home Alone video games at all for anything?
I think I played.
I've seen the Angry Video Game Nerd video on them.
And he's not wrong.
I think I played I played Lost in New York for Game Boy on Matt Salandria's Game Boy at recess in like 6th grade or some shit like that. But I don't remember ever I never owned any of them. I never, played any of them extensively.
So the only thing I can say, I always go back to Home Alone 2, particularly for the Super Nintendo. And it's like one of the craziest games I've ever played. I thought about mentioning it here, but I don't hate it because it's that wild. Because you can get like attacked by luggage and all sorts. It's crazy. But the game, though, the original one, though, and particularly the PC one, it's graphically terrible. Of course, you're thinking of the era for one, but it's just not fun because you have that fun concept of being like, I got to set up all these traps and all this stuff, and it's not good. Completely misses the mark. I've actually played it for the PC, which is the first time I played it back when I was a kid, and I went through it back and I played it through for both the Genesis, and I think it came out for the Super Nintendo. There may have been an NES release too, but I'm not entirely certain. But it's just a bad game. Like this. No. All right. Move on from me.
All right, goes back to me. Shaq Fu.
There we go.
It's got to be there.
I agree 100%.
I love how you went from Mario 2 to Shaq Fu.
Yeah, like that's fucking opposite ends of the spectrum here.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so now you have to tell us why Shaq Fu is such a bad game.
Oh,
because it's Shaq Fu.
Yeah, I think the label is enough.
Yeah, there's no explanation needed.
No,
for Shaq Fu.
You don't need one.
Yeah.
I'm done.
No, I'm impressed that because I know Bob, you were talking earlier about the other Shaq Fu game, so I think I'm going to haunt you now about that here and there about you purchasing that for your Switch.
Listen, I used to buy every time I would see a copy of the original Shaq Fu, I would buy it just so that I was taking another one out of circulation. The old Hollywood Video Store in Westville or West Effort or Washington or Woodbury Heights, whatever you want to call it. There are copies of so when I worked at Game Craze and even after when I would still go there, they would always want you to buy. You wanted to keep the units per transaction up, so they would always have Mario and Mario Duck Hunt and Super World Class Track Meet, Duck Hunt, and Super Mario Brothers. Those cartridges would be like between 25 cents and $1. And then there was also Shaq Fu that you could buy. And so whenever I would go in there and I would buy something, I would buy whatever I was going to buy. And then if it wasn't more than 2 items, I would buy either like 2 copies of Mario Brothers or Mario Duck Hunt or whatever. And then we would take them outside and throw them up on the roof. I swear to God, on top of that building must be, I couldn't tell you how many copies of Shaq Fu. I couldn't tell you how many copies of Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Duck Hunt and all that shit. I'm sure it's gone by now. But we would buy them and throw them up on the roof.
Was that the Hollywood video we played Hollywood Gladiators in?
Yes, it was. Yeah. So
we'll I'll have to, I guess, because that probably never be brought up ever again. But the store would close, and we would put a bunch of tennis balls in the middle, and then proceed to run around like crazy, pegging each other with them. And you know what happens when a tennis ball misses a person in a video store? All the cartridges go flying off the shelves. So.
And like when we would go in there with a football and people were still in there, and we would be throwing the football around like through the sides and shit.
And the best part was I never worked there.
Yeah, I don't think I worked there at that point.
No, I don't think you did either.
I do remember one Thanksgiving going up there with an air horn with Devin and Ryan Parham, putting the air horn in the video return slot. And I also remember throwing driving by and throwing fried raviolis at the windows.
I remember that too.
And then put them in the return slot.
Oh,
we were pieces of shit.
I was like throwing pickles on the windows and watching them slide down.
Yes, yeah, Billy Madison style.
Yeah, exactly. Before Billy Madison.
Gee, I wonder why we're not going to get through the video games.
Poor Rich is like, I just want to get through the video games.
This is my
listening and having fun. Bob mentioned Woodbury Heights. I found recently that Tyco Toys was based out of Woodbury Heights, Mantua. I never knew that until like a month or two ago.
Tyco was there in the 60s and 70s, correct?
Yeah, somewhere around there, yeah.
My mom worked there.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if she worked there. It was like when she was in college, I guess, because she was going to Glassboro State at the time. It had been in like the late 60s, early 70s. But yeah, she worked for Tyco for a little bit. I always thought that was it. It was before she joined the Air Force. So, yeah.
Well, a lot of famous companies started in New Jersey and then were taken away because New Jersey makes the world takes.
That's like nothing's in Woodbury Heights. My uncle's in Woodbury Heights. That's about it.
Man, I spent a lot of time in that town.
Sony.
I'm gonna go next, but I'm gonna pick a game that's actually not on my list, but Tom had me think about it when he mentioned his light stuff, and I want to go with Bart versus the Space Mutants. And I want to go with that because the first level was awesome. The first level is like a puzzle platformer where you're looking for purple stuff to turn not purple, and you're killing aliens. And then if you make it through that first level, it becomes the shittiest platforming game you've ever played.
Oh, wow. Yes, you are 100% correct. 100% correct. I remember that now. Yeah, because it's an excellent first level game.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic first level, and then like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, right. It's like they got lazy after writing the first chapter of the book. They're like, "No, we're just gonna."
Oh yeah,
dude.
I agree. I remember.
And there's a Genesis version too, which is the same thing. Great first level, same shit with all the other levels. And then
I remember
Simpsons game after that also sucked.
I'm trying to think. I don't even think I got through them all.
No.
I don't know, but that kind of goes back to, Bink, you mentioned with Super Mario 2 and it being a letdown, right? Being young. That's the same thing because, the Simpsons were hot back then.
Oh, yeah.
And any kind of video game release, anything, everyone was aiming for. I don't care who you were. We were all into it.
I couldn't tell you how many quarters I played in the arcade version of The Simpsons.
And that's such a classic game. Yeah,
Follow it?
yeah.
What it was, yeah.
exactly. But that game, I remember that game coming after the NES, and I had the same exact feeling because I was like, man, this is awesome. And then, got to that first level, and was like, what is this?
And then you're in
Yeah,
Krusty Land where you're fighting against the Sideshow Bob and that one. But again, it's all just it's really rough platforming. Yeah, it's actually
Smithers
just
was
terrible.
black in that game, remember?
What'd you say?
Smithers was black in that game because they had
Yes.
used a very early episode because they
Well, I
started
think like
working
you
on
only
it.
had the first 2 seasons when the game came out. So
Yeah.
one of the villains is the babysitter bandit.
Yes.
Oh yeah! Wow. Oh, that's a great pick because that's unfortunate. Like that first level of that game is if the rest of the game is like that, we will not be talking about that right now.
Mm-mm.
Wow, good pick.
All right. So my second one is going to be Pulse Racer for the Xbox. So Pulse Racer was a game I got for I think like $10 or $5 at the base exchange at McGuire. And the price
That
and
wasn't a red flag right there.
Yeah, the price and the cover should have been red flags because the artwork on the cover was fucking terrible. Looked like something I could put together in Photoshop, and I don't know how to use Photoshop. So it was brutally horrible, but I'm like, fuck it, $5, let's give it a shot. Maybe it'll be fun multiplayer when we get drunk or whatever. But the premise of the game is this. You're in a race, you're in a vehicle, the vehicle's hooked up to your heart. If you go too fast for too long, you have a heart attack and die. And then your car brings you back to life. It defibrillates you. And then you can drive again. But if you go too fast for too long, you have a heart attack again and die. And that's the whole thing, is trying to finish the race without having a heart attack.
I remember.
Are you eating burgers like the same time, or
You were just hooked to your car. And it was kind of like the overheat mechanism in Excite Bike, but like way shittier because the game wasn't fun. Excite Bike I at least had fun with. This game was just a coaster. You paid $5 for a coaster because it was just that's all it was good for.
Here you go. It is billed as a futuristic kart-style racing game in a similar vein as Mario Kart, taking place in 2024. That's weird enough as it is. Featuring high-tech tools and sleek vehicles where racers must use their own life force to beat the competition. It is often regarded as one of the worst Xbox games on the market.
The official Xbox magazine gave it 1 out of 10.
That's too high. That's too high. It should have that's a game that should have gotten negative.
X-Play gave it 2 stars.
I kind of remember you getting that.
Gave it 2 stars.
2 stars, 2 out of 5.
Wow.
That's fucking generous. Although, what's his name? Adam Sessler's lost his fucking mind anyway, so that might have been the first step.
I don't know, I kind of vaguely recall when you got that because I think we had a conversation about it. About that sounds like a neat concept.
Yeah,
and,
I thought it was gonna be like Mario Kart, but like with some added stuff to it and prettier graphics and shit. No,
kind of like F-Zero?
Yeah, it was just unbridled shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was
You get the
unbridled.
cover. If you've never seen the cover, you have to see the cover. It's Bob described it pretty good. It's definitely somebody's first Photoshop.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's god awful.
Hey, and it's brought to you by
Fine people at
good old,
Jellico.
I'm probably mispronounce it, but it's Jalico game, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Jalico.
Yeah, bases loaded. Yeah.
Or Jalico.
Oh, wow, that is awful.
Jalico. I don't know. Shittyco.
Oh, they brought out bases loaded. That was a fun game.
Yeah, well, they fucked up after that.
Fair enough.
It was like LJN for the next generation.
All right, so
Back to you, bud.
all right. So let's see here. I'm gonna go with another oldie here, but this is gonna probably spark controversy, so might as well say it. This will be kind of akin to the Mario 2 conversation. I'm gonna go with Double Dragon for the PC. and quite frankly, could have been also for the Amiga. I don't remember because I was so young, but I'm assuming it was PC. And the only reason has nothing to do with actual gameplay. I have no idea how it played because my poor parents ran around to different stores to get an actual copy of it that worked. They bought it for me 5 different times, and none of them worked. And again, going back to the Mario 2 thing, I was a child. I was massively let down because that's all I wanted to play was Double Dragon because I knew the arcade, and I didn't get a chance to play it because it didn't work. So my first thing is, if you're going to release a game, make sure that it works. Right?
Not being able to play that is probably makes it a better port than the Atari 2600 port. Because there is an Atari port of Double Dragon.
Is there really?
Oh, yeah.
What does it look like? Pong?
Close.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking terrible.
I have it over there on the shelf somewhere.
No, I won't give you any pushback on that. The only real experience I have with the original Double Dragon is one of the Tiger handheld games. So,
arguably, it does look like Pong. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That was bad, yeah.
Arguably, you not being able to play it was still better than me playing the fucking Tiger game.
Those Tiger games were something at times.
I had the Master System version of Double Dragon 2, and that wasn't that great either.
Yeah.
Double Dragon as well.
It's
arcade and NES are the two you want to play.
Yeah.
I loved it on NES.
Yeah.
I played the second one, Double Dragon 2, and I remember liking that at the time, but I don't think I could go back and play it. That's one that I don't think has aged well.
Yeah, the NES version's awesome. I'm a big fan of that game. The problem was, like, I can vividly remember it not working, and I was so disappointed. You know, because especially then, like, it was, and it's probably, if I can go back and find it and play it, it's probably a half decent port, you know, for the times.
Going back to the computer stuff too, I remember my dad ordered me a copy of Revolution X for the PC from the back of a magazine, and it literally took like 3 years for that game to show up. Like, it was vaporware forever. When it finally showed up, it was okay. I mean, it was Revolution X for the PC. It was what it was, but still, it took forever.
I remember I bought that at a Babbage's in Virginia Beach. I bought the CD for it, and I remember it just getting home and like, oh, this is awesome! I got Revolution X at home.
Man, those old computer magazines were like
it was better than any console version of Revolution.
Oh yeah,
but still, yeah.
Those you guys remember the shareware magazines that you'd get? You could send off and get like the diskettes of like the first level, and like I always remember like Commander Keen being front and center.
Yep.
And it was like, man, this is awesome, because I was huge PC gaming back then, and I think that's why like I remember this being such a letdown because it just didn't work.
Yeah.
You know, so all right, enough on that. Let's move on.
I think it was Bink's turn.
Yeah, you're
sorry.
You're
I'm going with Jaws for the NES.
Ooh.
That game was just impossible.
I beat it.
Did you?
Yep.
Did you have the like power glove on, or?
I put the power glove on my dick.
Ah, sweet.
It's funny.
You're ramming the shark at the end.
Dude, it's really funny you said that, because a really early podcast that Bob and I recorded had to do with that game, or at least that was part of one of our subjects. And he mentioned that he beat it, and I was like, no, you didn't. You're full of it, because I've never beaten it either.
I've watched Let Plays that make it look fun. Like, if you know what you're doing, it looks like it could be entertaining. I think it was an Atlas game, too. It wasn't like it was built by a really good developer.
It was LJN.
LJN. Yeah, no, LJN published it. I think Atlas developed it.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
The people behind Persona, shit like that. Yeah.
That's one of those games like I used to go back to like to play, but then I realized how repetitive it is after about 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then you throw your controller and you walk away.
Exactly.
I was just determined. I beat it in college. I was determined to beat it, and I was like, nope,
Now, the most shocking thing you should get out of that isn't that Bob beat Jaws. It's that Bob went to college.
Right here, buddy. Right here. Fucker.
Did you take a course on how to beat Jaws?
I did. I'm actually an adjunct professor now at my local community college.
I would believe that's something they would teach at Stockton, by the way.
Yeah. But
how to beat Jaws.
Yeah. Listen, Stockton, it's a university now.
Hey guys, I think this is the birth of the Noise Brigade University. The first course is taught by Bob how to beat Jaws with the NES.
How to beat Jaws? No, so you know what you can do when you're fighting Jaws. If you stay up at the top, Jaws can't hit you. If you stay up at the top of the water, so then you go down, you hit them, and you get back up to the top, and you get down and you hit them, and you go back up to the top, and you just rinse and repeat, and you keep going.
How many hours did that take you?
Not long.
I've got two random Jaws facts.
3 or 4 hours.
Robert Shaw, who played Quint, was also the bad spy in From Russia with Love, which is awesome. And I'm going to go meet Richard Dreyfuss at the end of the month in Children's Theater. I have my Hooper figure to go get signed.
Nice.
That's awesome.
He's the only living, well, not the cast member, but he's the only main crew that's still alive.
I know, because they all got eaten by the shark.
They had a heart attack playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't have given a shit about the game other than I have really fond memories of playing it when I was little. So, you know.
It's not on my list, but I met Bruce Campbell a couple of times, and one of the times I met him, I just finished playing that first Evil Dead game for the PlayStation. I told him how much it sucked. This is a horrible game.
What did he say?
He said, I forget exactly. It was just, he kind of blew me off. It's like, whatever.
Yeah. I figured.
Getting back to the line.
I know we're going, I don't mind going off on a tangent, but I met Bruce Campbell a couple of times. The first time was at Independence Hall for like his first book signing. He had like a chair set up next to the thing. We could like talk to him for a while I signed it. Didn't have a lot of people there. Later on, it was at one of the Chiller Theater, kind of like a big horror convention. And I waited in line for 2 hours. It was like the third or fourth time I met him. I had a comic book signed. It was Evil Dead meets Reanimator, which was already signed by Jeffrey Combs. Like, this is going to be awesome. It's going to get signed by both of them. He refused to sign my comic book because the comic company didn't pay for his likeness rights, because he just paid for the character rights. And I told him, I waited in line for 2 hours. I don't give a shit. Like, you wouldn't be a celebrity if not for us. Now, this was when Burn Notice was out, so I guess he had a little bit of money from Burn Notice. And I left. Like, I had 2 hours in line. I didn't get him to sign anything. I threw a fit in Bruce Campbell's line. Said, "Fuck you, Mr. Campbell. Fuck you." You wasted my time. And from here on out, I still watch his shit, but I'm very upset at him every time I see him in anything.
All right. What's your next game, Rich?
Oh, is this me?
Yeah.
Okay, since I'm on a spree of this one's going to upset everyone, at least Bob, because I'm going to go with the one that's probably going to be the most, on my list, and I'm going to say Sonic games, like any Sonic game. Now, I grew up playing Nintendo. I was always a Nintendo fanboy, so I never had a Genesis growing up. I didn't play the Sonic games till I was older, and I tried playing through the Sonic games. I just can't get into them. I like to explore and stuff, and the Sonic games are always let's go fast and get to the end, and I just don't get it. I don't like it. I don't understand it. They're not for me.
The first one was really like that, but after that they changed it up. Even though it was still speed, but there was still more exploration. They added.
I tried playing Sonic CD a couple of times, and that's the one that I probably got the most into, but even that I couldn't finish. I hear that Sonic 3 with Sonic and Knuckles is supposed to be like the best.
Was that Tails? Was that, or is that a different one? Was the one with Tails in it?
Tails?
That was 2.
2 introduced Tails, yeah.
Yeah, 2 and then 3 and Sonic and Knuckles with, all that shit. That was all.
And then he had a shitty cartoon with Urkel playing his voice where he ate chili dogs and fucked some squirrel or something. I forget exactly. There was like weird characters there.
Well, I would say that, we had a 16 seed of Mario 2, but I don't think that's the 16 seed anymore.
Yeah, I think Mario 2 is now going to be the 15th seed Sonic.
I just wanted to get this off my chest.
Yeah, because I get what you're saying with the speed part. I completely disagree with everything else.
It's not
because they're fun platformers.
Mario's better. Yeah, I don't think it's a good platform. I just don't like it.
It's just not for you. I had a Genesis, so I have good memories of playing both Sonic and Sonic 2, and some of the other games over the years.
I think if I grew up with it, I probably would have enjoyed it more. But like I said, playing it as an adult, just meh.
I think I will agree with you in stuff after Sonic Adventure 2. I would say like Sonic 06, Sonic the fucking Sonic Unleashed where he turned into a fucking werehog, Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic Colors.
I did watch the first movie with my nephews, and I didn't like the movie, but I liked what's his face as Eggman, Jim Carrey.
Oh yeah,
probably the best thing he's done in a while.
Yeah, he was really good in that.
Yeah. I watched half of the second one and just had to like walk away. Like you guys go ahead and finish this. But my nephews love it, so whatever they're doing right for kids. So
yeah, that movie was good. I mean, look, again, it's funny. Like, we all have our own things that have come up so far that are popular one way or the other. But it's like for some reason it just like, got to you. But the funny thing is, I want you to think about how this goes. I said Double Dragon because it got to me as a kid. Bink said Mario 2 because it got to him as a kid. You just said the same thing, Rich, with Sonic. It got to you as a kid. Like, didn't grow up with it. It was just too fat. It was whatever.
No, it got to him as an adult.
Yeah.
But I mean, it didn't grow up with it, though.
Oh, okay.
So, again, it still goes back to being a kid, So it's like, I don't know. There's something to that. And, like, really, because if you did, it might be different. You might have a different story. Like if if Double Dragon worked, I would never even have thinking about it. That wouldn't make my list. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Right. And I like Jaws because I played it as a kid.
But you beat it as a college student, as a college professor.
All right. So my next one is going to, and this is as a kid. I was in West Virginia with my family. We went to a yard sale or a flea market or some shit. And I remember buying NFL football for the NES for $5. And I didn't have my NES with me because I didn't bring them on family trips. You left it at home. And so I got home. I waited the whole week, got home, booted that shit up. And it was the most god-awful fucking sports game that I've ever played in my entire life. It was like a view from the Goodyear blimp, and all you see is just these little ant-sized characters on the screen, and I felt like fucking Zoolander. What is this, a game for ants? Like, it was fucking horrible. And
did you not hear about Tecmo Bowl?
What?
Did you not hear about Tecmo Bowl?
I just look, man. I just wanted anything football at that point, and this was something I could get for $5, and it was a Nintendo game, and I was like, and it's football. So it was like two things I really love: video games and football, and it was $5. So fuck it, let's go. And I'd never heard of it before.
Mm-hmm.
I'd played Tecmo Bowl, and I figured it would be like Tecmo Bowl, but
I was going to say
it was more.
How do you compare it to John Elway's quarterback for the Nintendo?
I've never played John Elway's quarterback.
That's also a bad Nintendo game. So
didn't that only have 7-on-7 or something like that?
It's weird. I had it, and I don't remember much about it because it was pretty bad. But
is that like Sports Talk Football? Is that kind of that same
Sports Talk Football?
Sports Talk Football. Why does that sound so
familiar? I remember
familiar?
Sports Talk Baseball for the Genesis.
Yeah, it was for the Genesis. Sports Talk Football.
Oh, so Sports Talk Football was like
it looked
Montana
just like that.
series before it became Joe Montana.
Yeah, Sports Talk Football starring Joe Montana. Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
It was worse than sports talk football. Much worse.
I forgot about that game.
I forgot that it was called sports talk football. I always associated with Joe Montana.
Yeah, no,
They
sports
dropped
talk.
that after a while.
Yeah, he's on the cover. It's like sports talk football starring Joe Montana. Yeah, it's crazy.
You talk about the ants. I hate sports in general and sports games. Again, I honestly don't know where I got it from or how I got it, but I had Tecmo Bowl for the Game Boy, which had little tiny, like you're basically playing pixels, but it was still fun because it was Tecmo Bowl for the Game Boy.
Right.
Yeah.
But so those characters at least had some definition to them. These characters on NFL football were literally like they might as well have just been X's and O's because you couldn't really tell what the fuck was going on. And I kept on waiting for it to zoom in. I'm like, all right, cool. It's showing us an above view like a blimp. It's gonna zoom in, right? No, it never fucking zoomed in.
The chicks never came.
Yeah, that was the level of betrayal I felt playing that game.
I guess we're on our last round then, aren't we? For this video game one, we've all done 3, right?
Yeah.
All right, this is going to be my new game that I'm going to hate on. The Witcher 3, particularly for the Switch, because it's the only version I've ever played. And it's going to come across really funny because I'm such a massive fan of Skyrim and Elder Scrolls games and all those, which this was supposed to be in the same vein.
I was going to say, I've never heard anybody hate on this game. So
yeah, so I played it for 2 hours, and I probably should have played it for anything else other than the Switch. And it was just an abysmal experience. And I played Skyrim for the Switch, and it's slower than playing it on a PS4 or 5 or whatever, but it's still enjoyable. I don't know if it's like the slowness or what. I didn't get it. I don't know. Maybe it was because like my mind was clouded with how much I loved Skyrim, but I really wanted to enjoy this game, and I played it for 2 hours and told myself then, I was like, I'm never playing this again. I can't do it. It was that bad of an experience. Didn't like it. And so like I thought, well, maybe it had to be the console, which is very likely, in that case, because I think the Switch misses on certain things like that. But The Witcher wasn't exactly a new game either. So I don't know. It doesn't get any hate. It's typically a very loved game. In fact, the one I bought was like Game of the Year, complete edition, whatever. Everyone loves it that's ever played it, except for me. But that's my Mario too. How about that? So maybe that'll be like the new 16 seed or 15 or 14.
No, because I've got nothing. I've got no experience with it, so I'm still.
I've never played it, so I have no idea.
Valid to me.
It's been on my list of stuff to play, but it never. Yeah.
I don't know. I just, like I said, I played it for a couple hours, and I think because I'm so excited because I've spent countless hours playing Skyrim on PS3, the PS4, the PS5. I think Bob and I recorded here many times ago, and I joked that I bought it like 5 or 6 different times because I have. I bought it for the 3, I bought it for the 4, I bought it for the 5, I bought it for the Switch, for the PSVR, even though I couldn't play it because I got sick playing it. Like
that's the only place I've ever played it was for the PSVR, and I've only played it for 2 hours. So I think I had it for the Switch, but I never played it. Like it's installed, but never.
So
started.
I was like this sick love for that game, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I have something else that's like gonna be just like it." And no.
And, I played it for 2 hours on the PS or on the Xbox 360, and it froze, and I would have had to redo the entire fucking tutorial thing again. And I never played it again. And the most I've played of it since then has been with my Alexa.
Oh yeah. I always forget about that version of it.
In South Park, Stick of Truth, when they learn the farts, that's supposed to be based off of the roars from Skyrim.
It's too good. All right, Bink. Last one, man.
Going back to my childhood again. Turtles for NES.
Ooh.
Game's rough.
I would say
Absolutely rough.
I don't think that game
Did you beat it as an
sucks.
adult, Bob?
No, I still not beating that game. But I don't think that game sucks so much as it's just Nintendo hard.
No, it sucks.
Really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. I mean, I always just chalked it up, and I've played it recently, and I'm just like I played the fucking dam level, and when the Cowabunga collection came out, I was like,
Is
Peyton,
that
you
the
got
game where they flash like crazy?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Like, there's a lot of clipping and like
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. So if you have epilepsy, you're screwed.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
fucked. But no, I played it and I showed Peyton. I was like, yeah, this is like one of the hardest levels in any video game. And I swam through the damn level and I did it without dying. And he's like, well, if it's so hard, why did you? I was like, I don't know, man.
Muscle memory.
Yeah, I was like, I used to be able to do it really good when I was a kid, but
Back when we were kids too, we only had like a couple video games every
Year.
X amount of time. So you were playing it more. You have to get the most out of this game as you possibly can. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, this game sucks, I'm not going to play. It's like, this is all I got and it's new.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Bink, why would you go back on why you like it's your list of hate? Why is that?
Just because the frustration level, you'd get to a certain point and then like the crazy lights and shit would go on in the game and it would just be annoying. And I just couldn't get it past the level and just threw it to the side and said, I'm never going to beat this and never going to turn around again. And I haven't touched the game since probably 1990, you know.
It's
Fair
not
enough.
based on anything either. Like the cover art's based on the comic.
Right.
It was before the cartoon ever got started. So all of the characters in it, except for like the main Bebop and Rocksteady, I think are the only two I've ever seen that's ever been in any Turtles thing.
The Rat King's in it, isn't he?
I don't think so.
I think the Rat King is.
Is he? Okay. You're fighting like legs and fire monsters and those
Yeah,
like,
that
flying
part.
things.
That part sucked. Is that you're not actually fighting like things that you would fight. Like I don't even remember. Are Mousers even in it?
I think they are.
But you're like most of the enemies are just random ass. Like they could be from any random Japanese like video game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's like a TV show where they come in like a marshmallow suit. And...
Yeah. No, like so I definitely get it. I'm just surprised that everybody hates it. I thought at least either Tom or Richie would be like, okay.
I bought it over again, but I still hate it. I have it boxed complete over there on the side there.
Yeah, boxed, not touched.
I think my thing is with that game is, I guess I'm very like in the middle on it. I don't like absolutely hate it, but necessarily, but I don't love it. But you know, I go to a game like Turtles in Time. Like I would go to that well before I would ever revisit.
Oh gosh.
Well, even if you look at the Nintendo games, the second one, which was the arcade game, was really good. But the third one, which was a little rarer, Manhattan
Project,
that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, those sequel games were awesome.
Yeah, the first one was just
that first one. Yeah, and again, it kind of goes back to like it's like a massive disappointment too, because again, you're like, oh, this is awesome, and then
if you like Turtles in Time, the Hyperstone Heist for the Genesis is just an easier version of that, and it's fun too.
I really like that. I had that. That was like when I got my Genesis. That was one of the 3 games I got. I got Sonic as the pack-in. I got Mike Ditka Power Football, and I got
That's all I know about Mike Ditka. The Bears.
The Bears.
But that game was that was not a good game. I mean, Tom, you had it for PC, right? If I remember correctly,
I had Mike. Yeah, except for the PC, it was called Mike Ditka's Ultimate Football.
I ate at Mike Ditka's Steakhouse in Chicago. I went there for a work thing, and when we got back to Philadelphia, I got yelled at because I ordered alcohol and a la carte vegetables to go with my steak, and apparently I went over the allotted budget for an IT person to order food in a restaurant. Oh yeah. I worked for a law firm. They sucked.
Give him $20 and tell him to shut up.
I needed the job, so I just kind of nodded. I thought I needed the job. Eventually, they fired me, and I went somewhere like right afterwards. I got paid twice as much as they were paying me, so worked out well in the long run.
Yeah. All right. So what's your game, Rich?
Let's go with, and then this is something else I played as an adult, not as a kid. Let's go with the Zelda CDI games. And I
Oh,
put Zelda
God.
CDI games because there was 3 of them, and 2 of them were the same game with different sprites. It was a Wand of Gamelon, and whatever the fuck the other 2 were called. I'm getting a little drunk at this point. But it was part of that. Well, we're going to build a CD system for the Nintendo, so we want access to your games. And we got Mario's Hotel, which wasn't good, but wasn't horrible. I mean, it was just an arcadey Mario game. But the Zelda games were horrible side-scrolling Zelda games with terrible hit detection, horrible like inventory management, where you have to have like certain fire weapons or ice weapons to beat certain villains, and like oil for your lantern. But the best part of that everybody knows now are the horrible Russian-made animations, which are fun to watch by themselves. But if you're watching them inside the game, it's the CD. I've owned the CDI twice. I owned it once as a kid, not as a kid, once as a teenager from a yard sale, and as an adult, I still have one over there in the corner.
Was it the McStays?
There are no good games. I don't know if McStays had one or not. No, I bought
No,
this.
they did. They had
Did
one.
they? Yeah.
I just didn't know if you had bought theirs.
The
That's where I
best
saw it.
CDI game I've ever played was the Hulk Hogan Thunder in Paradise game, which tells you a lot about the CDI. The CDI is a horrible console which doesn't deserve to exist. So I'm glad it failed.
That's the most positive thing I've ever heard about Thunder in Paradise, by the way.
I actually saw it getting filmed at Disney World.
Ah,
They filmed all of their scenes where they're in the boat was in the lagoon at Disney World. And they had the boat pulled up to the Grand Floridian to the little beach there.
hey, I have what the hell was it? The cop one, 48 hours. I have 48 hours on a CDI video disc too, which is also awesome.
Hey, did your CDI have an actual remote, or did it have the shitty like DVD player remote?
And I bought an actual controller for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I played the Zelda ones at the McStays, and it was the shitty fucking DVD style remote.
When I had one as a kid, that's all I had, and it was horrible because it's IR, so like it barely registers your things.
Yeah, it was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
God. All right, so I've got quite the choice in front of me here. We could either add another Shaq food to the list. We could go Starsky and Hutch for the Xbox, which I remember being terrible, but I couldn't tell you why because I blacked it out because it was so fucking bad. Where's Waldo for the NES, which I borrowed from your brother.
I was going to say my brother had that.
Yeah, borrowed it from your brother. Or Eternal Champions for the Genesis. So I'm going to give Eternal Champions a break. They're not going to go. Since I can't remember everything about Starsky and Hutch to even talk shit on it, I'm going to let that off the hook. In the interest of keeping it as diversified as possible, I'm going Where's Waldo for the NES. And so, like, picture what the fuck is Where's Waldo, right? It's a book, and you gotta find. It's got little tiny pictures. And you gotta find this little douchebag in a fucking striped shirt with little stupid glasses and a stupid hat and a cane, right?
A book with no words.
Picture trying to fucking play that shit on an NES with little tiny ass fucking picture with little fucking pixel things all over the place. Why the fuck? First of all, why the fuck did I borrow it from your brother? Why did I think that was a good idea? Second of all, who the fuck why is this even a game? Like, buy the books. The books are cheaper. Like, why is this a fucking video game?
Are you sure you just weren't looking for him like on the label on the cart? Like, was that the entire game?
He was there. It was like he was there.
Okay, I beat the game.
Yeah, beat the game. Here, you can have it back. No, but like it was timed, and you had to find him in the fucking pictures, and they're just like, it's so hard to see. You can't tell what the fuck is what. You're basically just looking for a blotch of red and white and then clicking on it and hoping that that's actually his dumbass. Well, really, who's the dumbass? The one that's, Waldo, or the one playing the fucking game? Because it was goddamn terrible. Yeah, so Richie just posted a screenshot. And that's
Oh my god! What the hell is
that one's an easy one because I found him right away. But picture it. It's also a small picture, right? So remember the tube TVs we used to play on?
Is he by the ambulance? Is that?
I think
for?
up in like the top middle of the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What the heck,
dude? I just read this was developed by Bethesda Software.
Yeah. So it was god fucking terrible. It was so fucking bad. And then, like I said, picture that picture blown up, not sharp because it's on a fucking tube TV, and God, it was just fucking terrible.
Nintendo Power gave it 2.43 out of 5.
That was generous. But
yeah,
that's
someone got
Nintendo
paid
Power.
there.
Did Nintendo
That's
Power
Power.
own that game system?
That was probably the worst. That was probably the worst review of any game for the NES that Nintendo Power ever put out.
So we got our 16 down. I don't know. I know we discussed kind of like ranking them, but what do you guys think about just having our 16 out and we'll just randomize it? How's that sound?
As long as Sonic's 16.
Sonic 16, Super Mario Brothers 2 is 15.
Yep.
Okay, well, so are we cool with randomizing the other 14 then?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
All right, so now we've gone through video games. Is there any video games that any of us have not mentioned that we have to say? Because Bob's like, you know what? Honorable mention guy. Is there anyone that we missed?
I will give out my honorable mention of, and I love the God of War series. I beat every damn single game. When they put that fucking little kid in there, I hated that. I hate that fucking kid. And I didn't even try beating the game because he pissed me off so much.
See, now I'm the opposite. These are the first ones that I'm getting into.
Well, I feel like that could be a good episode. You guys can just talk about.
Well, I haven't actually gotten to play it yet. Peyton's been playing it, and I've been watching. And it just seems like it's a cool mechanic to have him where you can have him shooting arrows and shit.
Meh.
I wish you could take him and kill him and not use him.
Yeah, I don't have as strong of feelings on it as Bink does, so I can't really,
I think he grows up to be Loki. So spoilers.
Fuck you, man. What the fuck are you gonna say shit, you dick?
He's gonna be hunting Kang with wow.
Sylvie. Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully, I don't know, man. Hopefully he gets him because
I just watched Quantum Meat, whatever it was.
Yeah,
It was okay. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't great.
I liked it. It wasn't. Well, I mean, and the nice thing is they set up the whole fucking thing with variants and this and that, so they can easily replace him.
Yeah.
But it just sucks that they did the Council of Kangs and every single fucking one looked like him. So they went to go back and post and maybe change some of that shit.
All right. Anyone else got any honorable mentions to throw out there before we
Fuck
close up
Shaq
shop?
Fu Returns: A Legend Reborn. That game was goddamn terrible.
I didn't like Skyward Sword out of the Zelda games either.
You know what?
That was horrible.
That's the one Zelda game I haven't played.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to play the fucking waggly fucking bullshit.
Oh yeah, not only that, but I got to a point where they put me in this time trial thing where I'm looking for tears and just I don't want to play time, especially where I have to waggle a controller and go through a thing. This isn't fun.
No, I agree.
Wow, this is fun. We did a video games. We'll knock out one of our other subjects. Our other subjects on this bracket are musicians. We have a wild card spot, and we have movies. So I don't know. It'll be fun. And we'll. I don't know if we'll be able to knock out maybe 2 in the next episode, or we'll devote 1 for each one. It just depends. Video games are kind of something we all love, so that's why I think we just kind of have to really spend this time on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is fun. Any parting words? Anybody? Anybody at all?
Fuck Dallas.